All right, guys, today we are going to discuss what I truly believe, why the NIL happened, how the NCAA could have prevented this, and now that it's out, what the future of college basketball really is going to be. I've said this in other videos, but I haven't consolidated all of it into like one main video, and this is basically what this video is. So I'm gonna show you a video of current, a year old, I think. I'm gonna loop this. And this is going to show how much money is in NIL right now. This could be wrong, could be right, but it gives me a general idea about how much money these kids are making. When you're seeing the reason why the NCAA originally did not want to pay players is because the consequences of what you're seeing now. Now, here's the thing. The NCAA used that as leverage to essentially own their own monopoly and monopolize all the money anyway, which is why the NIL started to take off in the first place. But when you're dealing with that money in terms of this much, now the team unity when it comes to your school pride, fans, this is what draws college basketball, the excitement, the electric energy, and college sports comes from that because everyone's fighting for the same thing, their pride, that to win for their teammates. It's not about money. Now, the unfortunate part is the moment you bring money into the picture, it inherently changes the foundation of the competition you're in, inherently. And this comes from someone who played professionally. There's a difference between an amateur and a professional. Because the moment money comes into the picture, all that team unity, all that stuff goes right out the window because now it's self-interest. And that's what you're watching in real time happen in college. And that's what the transfer portal is. The NIL and the transfer portal are two different things. The NIL is a simply name, image, likeness. That's what NIL stands for. In the most grand scheme of things, the NIL represents brand, not brand, but essentially your brand ownership, brand autonomy, ultimately. Because for a long time, NCAA was able to use other college players' likeness to their advantage and make billions and billions of dollars doing so. While players and athletes couldn't afford barely anything. They're like, I'm not saying having a scholarship isn't a good thing, but I was only making $864.67 a month. And 80% of that went toward my bills. So I'm essentially living below poverty line. Now, luckily, I'm financially savvy, so I could go through this, but most players can't handle that. So while we're making peanuts, you're making billions, including the coaches. If you notice, of all this time, coaches would be traveling and going to different teams all the time. And I think, I forgot who said this. I want to say, maybe Gilbert Arenas said this. I can't remember, but we need to hold the coaches accountable as well. All these players are doing is basically everything that coaches have been doing for a long time now. You guys would leave. I don't worry, I'll restart. If players would leave and you just recruited them, and all the people that had like, for example, with me, when it came to my coach, the guy who recruited me to go to Akron, University of Akron, got a job to Ohio State. So I didn't even have Jeff Bowles. He was completely different. Like, I lost him. Now, he talked to me as a man and say, look, I have to do this for my family. And I said, hey, look, he had my blessing. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of coaches do this. They make a huge commitment. Hey, no, you'll be with me for 4 years. We'll work hard. We'll do this. And you disappear. And now the players are stuck there because if they transfer with you, they have to sit out a year. But this always goes back to the NCAA. Instead of using some of that money to subsidize the mid-majors and smaller schools for scholarship athletes, a cost of living adjustment for the entire NCAA. The big schools can pay $3,500 and the small schools can get subsidized to pay $3,500. It keeps competition the same. It gives players a decent, livable wage while getting the free education. And it preserves the team spirit and competition. That's how they should have did this. But they didn't. They got too greedy. And you have all these situations where these players are like, it's wrong, you're monopolizing my brand, my likeness, to continue to make money even after college is over. Nah. So they fight it back, which is what they did. And now the lawsuit, and then they had the lawsuit, and then they lost. Well, not that part, but because there's so many lawsuits. But like that happened in 2009, 2010, somewhere around that time. So then you have that happen. And then you have people like Texas, because Texas Longhorn was the one who really opened up what current NIL is. They found gray areas in your rules. They weren't paying players, their donators were. And then you got mad, tried to sue them, and lost in court, which blew up what NIL is today. That's why we're here where we're at. We're in an era where you became reactionary. Instead of being proactive and paying the players a general salary across the entire country, California would get paid a bit more. Cost of living is higher in California than a place like Ohio, West Virginia. And everyone's making roughly $3 to $4K a month. Everyone be happy. The players got some spending money. You continue to make your profits. You just can't make all the profits. And that's what all these big companies want. You want to make all the profits, try to monopolize it. You lost in court, and now the genie's out of the bottle. So now, and this happened 2015, 16. This is the results. Now you're having players who are explicitly going after the money. Everything's about the money. Mike Bibby has talked about this. Paul Pierce, everyone's talking about it. And I can see it on YouTube all the time, and all the people who are talking about NIL right now. It's sad it took them 8-9 years to do so. But, I mean, what am I going to say? I'm glad you're talking about it now. My voice was just too small, apparently. But ultimately, NIL sacrifices long term for the short term. Because you monopolize all the profits, you piss players off enough where they would go to a lawsuit against you. You lost, and then when Texas exploited it, you sued them and lost again. And then all the football, because it's mostly football, that's where it was growing first. All the football, big BCS, big conference schools did the same thing. Had their alumni donate. Yeah, donate to the small business. And then that small business will hire that player as a brand manager. Hey, just be our brand. We'll pay you $20K a month. We're going to throw you on top of billboards and throw you on top of their advertising marketing campaigns. They do this in Europe. Though the marketability of college athletes like this are way better than some which you'll see in Europe. And now these kids who have no financial responsibility, never had any type of power outside of basketball in their lives, are getting life-changing money with none of the skills back it. Because now you have agents who are going after them. These lawyers are going after them. These colleges are going after them. They're in a sea of sharks and have no idea just how vicious this is going to get. These kids are smiling now, and I'm thankful they have their opportunity. But they are prime pickings for people who are manipulative, who are telling what they want to hear, so they can siphon off their money and their wealth, which is exactly what's going to happen to most of them. Not all of them. There are going to be some who are a little bit more savvy, and you have the discernment to know who to work with and who not to work with. But most of these people are too fiscally irresponsible. They're still kids. So they're not going to know this stuff unless their parents come in and say something. But most of the time, their parents are just as ignorant. And they promote this. So college basketball and football has fundamentally changed. They are now professionals. I said this in one of my older, one of my older videos. These athletes are professionals now. You want to be treated like a professional? You have to carry yourself like a professional. And you need to understand the consequences of your actions now that you're a professional. All these shenanigans that a lot of these kids will get themselves into, getting in trouble, any of that stuff will destroy this brand. You're not amateur no more. It will be used against you in negotiating. There will be real consequences, and these lawyers, agents, players, coaches, teams are begging for you to give up some of your autonomy because you made a stupid mistake, and the consequence of it is now they have more leverage over you. And this is the part these athletes don't realize. You're getting paid this amount of money, leverage is theirs. Now you are subservient to these people because they're paying you now. This money don't come for free. They have expectations, and that's where some of these losses are coming in right now, because a lot of these athletes are leaving while having signed contracts that they're going to do something, and then you end up leaving. And some are getting away with this now, but best believe they are changing their things every year. They're changing up these contracts to make sure all those loopholes will go away. Which is why, for the most part, you see this battle of NIL is lawyer teams versus other lawyer teams. It is a battleground of lawyers right now of who's going to have the leverage, players or the NIL agents or sponsors. Because when they're paying this amount of money and you guys aren't showing up, there are going to be real consequences. And this is the failure of not only parents, but our institutions to not put in positions them at least the education and the discernment to be able to sieve themselves away from this sea of danger. Because they have no idea the type of tools that are out there to manipulate these people. None. They have none. Most of the people who watch this don't even understand. Only reason why I do, because I was a part of it for 10 years. And you had to learn on the fly. And I got burned a few times because of it. Money like this wasn't the answer. This is a response to NCAA greed. This is why they're getting paid this much. And yeah, for the short run, it can change their lives, and it will. But unfortunately, most of these kids do not have this mindset, the skills, and the wisdom to know how to effectively manage this type of money. Money buys access. That's what money is. And this is access to a lot of things. And without discipline, this access is going to be to women, drugs, toys that don't have any real lasting value. It's what I call fake wealth. All this stuff that isn't going to be fruitful. And then they'll burn it all because their lifestyle is too high. And the moment all this money goes away, it's game over. I am thankful these players are getting these paid because, man, I would love to get some of this. But the reality is that you're still kids. Your parents are going to be a big danger. Friends, now you have to grow up at 17. You can't wait till 21, 22 to figure it out. Now you have to figure this out now. Because now you're thrown in the deep end. If you don't know how to swim, best believe they are going to make you sink. Now, I know that's a little bit crazy, but that is my NIL in a nutshell. Sports is now professional. And there's one more other thing I want to say about that. The players who aren't getting this are much more likely to fall into gambling, to fall into corruption, to bribery, because they want to get some of that too. And they're not going to be the only ones not getting paid while all these, I know for a fact, because they're still kids, they're flexing on all their teammates. I got more money than you, I'm doing this. I know what it's like because that's how it is in the professional scene. You're going to flex. new watches, new cars. And these other athletes are going to get envious. They're going to get pissed. Because they know they're not really about the team. They're not about that fighting spirit. They're not fighting for each other. You're fighting for yourself because it's the money. And these players, no offense, I'm not saying all these players, but some of these players won't think twice leaving this school because they're looking out for their own best interest. And there's a whole article of a guy doing that now in football. So now there will be a divide in the locker room, and you will see it in competition when you're watching them play. You won't see that camaraderie that I grew up with. When I played in college, I had. That's about to disappear. Now, do your job or you go home. And you're going to see affect every facet of sports. The fans, they're going to change. The colleges are going to change. The coaches and the way they coach are going to change. All of it is now based on, are you bringing in a return on investment? And if you're not, I'm sending you home. And to me, I feel like that is the worst of it. That is the worst consequence. Because now it's going to be hip top best players, best colleges who can afford this. And the mid-majors or Cinderella teams, those won't exist no more. Because all those players who could even potentially do that are going to get NIL deals and go to another place. That's a bigger school that can afford more money. You literally just turned sports into the Major League of Baseball. You have the Yankees who have billions of dollars and everyone else who has nothing. And I don't know baseball like that, so I'm not going to say in the top, but it's going to be money. And here's the thing, the BCS schools, the big conference schools are already making moves on this. They already pointed out that the NCAA should get rid of the conference championship, should get in the tournament. They want only the big schools can play in the tournament now. They don't even want a chance for mid-majors to show up. And this is where the death of what we know as college sports comes in. March Madness won't be as exciting. It's always going to be the big schools anyway. Who cares about the Akrons? Who cares about the smaller schools? No one cares. Because we all know the best players are going to the big schools. And it's going to consolidate power. And that's the last thing you want in college sports, because it's going to become dull, which is what you see in the NBA. All about the money. No one cares about the team outside of a few organizations, Lakers, stuff like that. Few organizations still have that team loyalty. But most of those teams in the NBA, no. I'm playing for you as a job. After that, there's not a lot of teams I can even say that have that type of camaraderie outside of the Bulls with Derrick Rose, and Lakers, maybe Celtics, but not even that much in Celtics anymore. So I just wanted to say here and give what I believe is going to happen with the NIL. Nothing good is going to come from this. These kids, their lives are going to change for the worse, in my opinion. You're essentially getting the cheat code that's going to give you the reward of the hard work, which is money, because money is a byproduct to adding value. So there's a lot that comes into adding value. Because you don't have to learn that. You're going to get all this money. You're going to feel like you solved the world, and then you will never grow. And that's, to me, is my worst fear for them. They're not going to grow past their 18, 19-year-old selves. Because to them, why should I listen to the garbage man? I make more money than you. Not realizing that garbage man has ways to preserve wealth better than you ever will. But you won't take heed of that because you already got the cheat code. You already got the money. And to me, that's what this channel represents. Yeah, you might got the money, but can you keep it? Can you keep the vultures that are going around to save it? Do you know how to preserve it? Do you know how to use it effectively to accomplish your goals for the betterment of your friends and family and community? You're going to say you do until those vultures tell you exactly what you want to hear. And then you found out the consequences of the expectations you asked for is too much for you to handle. And then all of it blows up to smoke. So that's my rule. That's what I think. So If you like this video, please like, subscribe. This is on Rumble and YouTube. I hope you guys have a great day. And I hope we as a culture takes more accountability when it comes to holding everyone more accountable, including our elites. Because as you can see, NCAA just lost its calling card. NCAA will not be as powerful as it once was. They lost their monopoly, they lost their leverage. Now it's up to the players. And unfortunately, these players just don't have the maturity yet to be able to effectively use that power to affect real change. They're going to use that power to destroy themselves. All right. Sorry for the rant, but I think that should get my point clear on how I feel about this.